know what stopped the feed. I'm not sure if we're back or not, so bear with me a second. Hopefully that we are back online. I'm waiting to see confirmation on my screen right here if we're back. So bear with me a second. Let's see if we are. Yeah, it looks like we're back. Sorry, guys. I don't know. It said it was interrupted. God only knows what goes on around here. All right. So, Josh, yeah. I think it went down, but it should be back up now, right? If you guys can confirm with me when you see it. Okay, good. All right. If we get interrupted again, don't go anywhere. I think that there's a glitch with the Facebook streaming right now, but hopefully we'll be back. I know it's not our internet right now. All right. So getting back to where we're at. So this part looks good. Now let's get the top back on and see where we're at with this. I think this is going to actually work out pretty well. So we've got plenty of room here. I mean, as you can see, there's this huge gap right here. We could discuss maybe bringing the gap down, but what is that? Imperial pod needed all soldered, all flash, just soldered. I'm not understanding that, Dwayne. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure that out. It was soldered a little bit to feel like they had a part of. Oh, I got what you're saying. It could be an option, but again, I'm just going to try to figure out where I want to go with how much labor is going to go into these. All right. So we've got the fit here. You can always change the standoffs out. These are the standoffs that come with the quad. I may be able to change them out, and we'll test that out to see. All right, but for right now, we're just going to assume that this is what comes in the kit. So let's just keep going with this. All right, so we're good here. Now what we need to do is we need to find a good camera, or a low price camera that will be good for this build, and I think I have one. So let me just get my camera out real quick. It's going to be one of the smaller micro cams, I think, but let me grab one real quick out of my used pile. This way I'm not opening anything new, and see if we can make this fit, if there won't be any problems with it. All right, so hang tight in a second. And hopefully we got two options with this. Option one, now this one looks like it would. Yeah, it does. It actually fits pretty good. It's a little close though, so let me see if these. Now this quad does come. Oh, thanks, Dwayne. I appreciate you, my friend. This quad does come with the. This frame does come with these fittings here. So let me just pop this in and see what also is available. All right, there's one. There's two. And then let me get the top on here without those falling, hopefully. All right, and I think that that's on. So let me go ahead and just put a screw in to hold it in place. And I think that we might actually be pretty close to finding the components for this build. So just got to get this to make sure I get this in here right. Maybe I've done this wrong. There we go. All right. All right, so there we go. What's not Facebook? The feed? Well, actually, there's a live feed software that's run, and that does fall within Facebook and Switcher, so it's going to be one of the two. But Switcher doesn't show any errors right now, so I don't know. I'm not here to analyze which one it is. All I know is it's not our internet. So let me just make sure we get this here. All right. Okay, so I think that's on there. There it is. All right, so that popped in. So now this is going to be a little too small for this, but this would fit a full-size camera without issue. A run cam is not going to be the way to go, but I may be able to see. I'll just check and see what options there are. It's either going to be this or something similar, because the other option is we can mount this from the top right here. Actually, that may be the way to go. If we mount it from the top, yep, let's go that route. We'll still leave the sides on for protection, but let's see what we can do. So let's go ahead and do that and see where we're at. Okay. So if we take, and I had one of these already, these cameras already open, but you can use the top mounting brackets here. So let's go ahead and see how that comes out. What's up, Bryce? Have you raced yet? Or are you at the races? What's going on? Fill us in. All right, let's do this. I can make this work, and I think we can, I just got to get the right size screw here. So let me see what I want to use. Let's try a 7mm just for fit purposes. So hang tight. Let me go. Where is it? Let me go this route. Let's put these here. Screw, and you can go just like this. Now, guys, I'm doing this. I mean, this is the first time to put these together, so bear with me as I have to get the measurements for everything. But I think it's actually in line to be just fine. So let's put that, and then we'll go with a fastener. Okay. And then I just need to be able to just screw down. I don't want this screw to fall out, so sorry, I'm not able to show you exactly what I'm doing here, but it's because I'm trying not to lose. Oh, and there it goes. Wonderful. One more second and I'll get this done. My little fat nuggets here don't do too well with some of these smaller screws, but we'll make it work. If I can get this. There we go. Perfect. All right, so we've got this in to hold it in place. Screws are actually a little long, but it's just for the purpose of making sure this will fit. Let me go get a 6mm screw here next. All right, put that through. This should fit a little bit better. Perfect. All right, so this is going to fit nicely right here. I don't think there's going to be any issues with it. Now we'll go ahead and put the camera on. Okay, sorry, these screws always give me a little bit of a hard time, but there we go. So I'm just going to put one side on so we can just get a look, make sure it'll be okay. All right, camera's in. Okay, just go ahead and tighten it down. Excellent. All right, so here's what we've got. Hey, Brandon, just looking at it actually right now, trying to see what components can be used to get this together, and I think we're kind of getting there. So looks like we should be in good shape here shortly. I think we've got the camera selected, and it's one option for a camera, but it looks like it's a good option. I like the camera actually. I use it on a lot of my builds. It's a low-priced camera. Quality is decent. And it'll definitely help to get in this price point. So let me do this. Okay, so here's what we've got so far. So now we've got our camera, as you can see. All right, and we've got our flight controller, we've got our PDB, and I think, like I said, I think we might be best going with Shut up, David. God, I hate when things are relayed back like that. Let me put these screws away. All right, so there goes this part. And the rest of it, I would think, okay, so we've got to get the VTX solved. And again, that may be by just going to the HGLRC F3V4. We're going to try that next on here, which would eliminate the nays and the Maytech. But I still think for this build, the nays and the Maytech might actually be a good idea. Let me get these little things out of here. Okay, so that's that. Now let's start looking at the motors that we're using. All right, so to make this work, let's go ahead and get started, okay? First thing we're gonna do is break everything down now because I think we've got a pretty good idea of the build for at least one version of this $100 build, okay? And we'll go ahead and, I guess I'll take the standoffs off for now. By the way, the arms do look, I'm going to check real quick with the calipers, but they are either 4mm or 5mm. They're pretty thick arms, so I think we're going to be really nice on this build. But let me just verify. Yeah, so they're 4mm arms. I think it's going to be excellent, and they're definitely cut properly. So I have no complaints as far as this for a low price frame. I think this is going to be a great option. All right, so all I want to do now is just remove the standoffs because I don't need them in the way while I'm trying to solder. Let me put all these things aside and try to make a little path. Oh, here comes the salt pellets. Huh. Okay. Hey, what's going on, Westover? And I see Michael and David also joined us. Hey guys, how y'all doing? Appreciate y'all joining in. Okay, so we'll start with the PDB. Kind of get an idea of how this is going to be done, and take it from there. All right, so first thing is we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and prep the PDB. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the LiPo strap out because I don't need it in there right now. There, with that done, let's get going. Might as well get these standoffs off also, only because if the solder touches them, it's going to be a pain, but I'll just raise them up a little bit, I guess. All right. Now, I'm not going to lower this magnifying glass right now. Let me get this on. And let's get the motors out of the box and ready to go. 1, 2, now let me find 2 more. I've only got 2 pulled out, so I've got to find them in this box here. 2206, 2204, no, 2206, 2200. So 2206, 2200. There's supposed to be 21 in here. So let's see. We've just got to play the finding game. 2206, 2200. Okay. And 2206, 2200. There we go. We got our 4 motors. Now, keep in mind that with these motors, I'm going to treat them, I'm going to take these tops off. I don't like these fasteners because they are specific then to the way the motor turns. And what we're going to do is use self-locking instead. So that way we don't care if we get a clockwise or a counterclockwise motor because we can just use a self-locking and it'll work either way. All right, so let's get this prepped and started. I'm gonna try to run it on my magnifying glass, but that's all right. We'll just do something quickly here. ATEC's got it's a really big pad. So as I pre-tinted, I'm just going to make sure I'm not heating the board up too much, which is still good. Not worried about that. I'm just gonna get these pads somewhat started, and then we'll get everything connected. All right, now you will be using the 5-volt and from the board to power the flight controller. So we're going to go ahead and get that tinned up as well. And then I will deal with what I want to do on these in just a minute. But let me just get some more solder out. And then there's a 12-volt here as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and tap them all. Okay, and at this point, board's still good. It's not too hot at all, but I'm going to let it cool down just a little bit while we look at what we're going to be working with. All right, so on the motors, now these are the 2206 2200 kVs. I'm just going to use these for the sake of the build. There's definitely a handful of different options, but for right now, I just kind of want to see how these are going to go with the build and see what our plan is. So we're going to use mailbox today super fast. Hey, thanks, David. Hey, I appreciate you guys shopping with me, man, and I'm gonna try to keep doing sales. I was explaining to Jeremiah earlier that, you know, the sales are fine with me. I mean, you know, I have no problem with them. The manufacturers have a problem with the pricing, and you know, and I can respect that. I mean, they want it to be fair across the board. So I'm very limited on how I can do my pricing, and I have already, like I said, if you've seen other live feeds, I've been reprimanded before for not charging enough per the agreements. So I'm kind of trying to come up with a solution that will make everybody happy by still giving good quality parts and prices. All right, so the way these are done, we're going to go ahead and bracket these off, or break them off. So we're going to have our positive go one route, our ground go to the other route, and then we're going to take our ESC wire and probably use a shared ground between most of them, or go to the NAS controller, which is also an option. So for right now, though, we're going to go ahead and get an idea of how long these need to be. And we're going to cut this, whatever this length is, from the end of their heat shrink. So on theirs, it looks like it's about 60 millimeters. So I'm going to make in the notes here, and this will be part of when you guys build this. We're going to use a 60 millimeter motor wire length. So let me put that down. And that means that for the sake of our heat shrink around this, we will probably come out to about, that's 35. We can go, we're going to overlap this, so about 35, 30 or 35. So we'll use heat shrink at 30 to 35 millimeters. For right now, I'm not going to use a heat shrink because I want to just get this cut and done. So let's just see where we're at. So we said 60, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that. Make sure that that looks right. And it does. All right. So let's cut 60 millimeters. Make these match. Okay. Put this with this. David, I saw, this is the Rottweiler. Is that right, David, that you have a Rottweiler? All right, I'm going to have to switch cameras here because I do need my old man glasses for this one. So, sorry. Bear with me a second. Boy, my table looks messy from this angle. But this is going to be a little bit easier for me. All right, bear with me a second, and I'll try to get done with this as quickly as possible so I can put that back. Right now, I just need to tin the wires. There we go. Okay. It should come back nicely. So if everything went as planned, this would sit one would fit there. The other one would fit perfect here. All right, now let me clean up this bench a little bit. There's too much stuff going on here and it's not helping me at all. So let me just get some of this out of the way. Some of these and these, get these out. Garbage off. Okay, so we've got one motor set. It looks good. I mean, everything seems to be coming out fine. Our signal wire and everything will go on in just a minute. So we'll get started on the second one, and we said 60 millimeters. So I know that I have a 60 millimeter. I have a 65. Well, you know what? I'll just use the last cut wire as my guide here. Do I have a complete part? For this particular build, I mean, you know, I'm putting the parts together as we do it live. So, I will have a list when we're done. Yeah, I have 3-inch props in stock. Man, I've got more props than you could think of. So, I mean, it's like I've got a ton of props in stock. And that's something that we're going to be talking about also, is getting everybody, you know, you should have, thanks, Dwayne. I appreciate that, man. I really do. You should have a ton of props, some to throw away, and some to, you know, to practice with, the ones you don't care about that you can just go and tear up. So I definitely have all kinds there. And I think Tom, the professor from, or the teacher from Grand Oaks is here. I don't know, I did not know he was stopping by, but he's gonna interrupt my build. Come on in. I'm on a live build, Tom. How you doing?
Hey, good.
You want to say hi to everybody here? Say hi.
Hello, Cyclone FPVers. Glad to have you today. We're happy to see y'all.
So Tom is the one, some of you may remember him, he's the one that started the doing the drone club at his high school. It's a brand new high school, and Tom's heading it up, and we had a fun time at the Woodlands High School during that thing, but Tom's actually having their schools putting on the meet, and we are going to be working with him to get them in some awesome machines.
Yep, it's a great deal. We actually are going, we've had interest, of course, among many high schools in our area.
Hey, I'm not giving you a time to plug in your stuff.
I get a plug.
No, you
I
don't.
get a plug. But we've even had junior highs that actively have drone classes have asked to do demos, and so this is becoming a big deal, a real deal.
Oh, so you mean the business I went into, you're telling me it's an okay idea?
It's an okay idea.
Good. So I can feel okay with my decision.
It's sellable.
It is sellable. So there's a market for it? Get out of town. You came by to pick up some screws?
Yeah, but I can come back.
No, it's fine. I mean, I'm just giving you the screws while I'm doing this. What's up? What size did we discuss?
Blues and greens.
So blues being the 10 millimeter or the 18 millimeter? 10 millimeter?
Both.
Okay,
Possibly
so
both. Long one, short one.
No. I mean, the greens are 14 millimeter, and the
Okay.
blues are 10 or 18, and the greens are. I know you don't have 4, It could be 25 millimeter though. So on the blues, just take what you need out of there, and then give me a count of how many you need.
Okay.
Give me a count of how many you took, because I've got to keep track of that, because I'm going to overbill you so I can pay for things that I don't need.
Overbilling's always fun. I'll get back to you on this. You guys have fun.
Are you
Throw it
taking
away?
Wait,
I've
you
got to roll.
can't take the package. You're going to take the whole package?
Well, I was gonna. Yeah.
What the hell am
well,
I going to use then?
Oh, crap.
I mean, open it and take how many you need.
Well, it was sealed. I didn't want to do that. I'm taking and running.
No, that's the only package I got right now.
Okay.
Now I did get I did get, huh?
I thought you had an order come in.
That's it.
Oh. Oops.
Hey! Don't break it.
It's just a drone.
I was telling somebody today, I got with the manufacturer here in the States to make the screws, and we're gonna be doing them in 10,000 bulk, so at least we can start getting them in a bigger bulk now.
All right.
So I'll get you guys your high school son. Tell your guys I say hello, by the way.
Will do.
Good group of kids he's got.
Well, we got our first actual drone build done. That was the Diablo.
That's right.
We hit one wall, and then we figured out how to bring the setting to.
But did it break?
No, it didn't.
That's
actually.
right. What's up? I had my kids in mind when I built those.
These greens.
What greens? Those are blues.
I need the longer.
Here, these are greens. Now these are 14 and these are 25s. You probably need the ones for the flight controllers.
Yes.
Okay, so
they have to stub out.
Right.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8. That's for 2, right? You needed 2 sets.
Yeah. Thank
Is
you.
there anything else that I gave you that you've lost that you need?
You know what? It's high school kids.
Don't blame the kids.
So, yeah,
I
I'm
know you're,
blaming the
I know you're
kids on
building
this
this
one.
crap at home, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna blame it on my students. You're like this closet builder, just putting your stuff together, stealing your own
Well,
supplies.
I feel like I'm over here for drugs. It's like, hey man, can you hook me up with eight
Hey,
blues?
take it.
Give me 8 blues. And for an old guy, 8 blues means something else. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, 1, 2.
Just make sure you get what you need, man. I want them to finish. Besides, no big deal.
Well, we have 8 active builds going at a time, so
That's perfect.
we got the first one in and done, and the rest of them we're waiting on bolts for us, and things disappear. So
It happens. It happens. All right, I'm gonna get this other motor cut now. We should be done. I mean, we're gonna kind of hum along this build pretty quickly because it's a very simple build with the ESCs already incorporated into the motors. And I know I'm missing some of the comments here, but that's because Tom kind of interrupted us.
sorry,
So
I did a flyby.
thanks, Tom.
All right, I took 16.
Hey, when are we gonna go out to dinner?
I'm ready to go.
Sushi?
One time,
You guys like sushi?
I like sushi.
Does your wife like sushi?
Well, she doesn't know her, but
Does she like sushi?
Sushi's my girlfriend.
I got you.
No.
Uh-huh. That's great. She smells like fish then.
Oh, ouch. Yeah, we'll do
Okay,
that.
we'll
No,
do that.
she's not a sushi
We
gal.
go to, does
She's
she like
vegan.
Mediterranean food? Oh,
Yeah.
so is Sam.
There we go.
So yeah,
So that
cool.
works out.
Yeah. Oh man.
Anyway,
All right. Let me finish this out.
I'll call that night. We'll let y'all work. I gotta go.
All right,
and,
man. You take it easy.
raise kids, and we'll see y'all later.
Appreciate you, bro.
All right.
Be careful. Let me know if you need anything else.
We'll do.
All right, let's get to getting these motors. Sorry, guys. Tom's an awesome guy, and his students are really cool. And I'm really glad because nobody is funding his project. So Tom and I got together to fund it, and these kids got to fly these new drones, these new Diablos, and hopefully they'll get a program together to start funding it. But until then, I wanted to help these kids out, especially because it's near my neighborhood, and I know these kids are good kids. All right. Oh, what's up, Alaska? All right, here we go. And I'm sorry I missed a lot of the comments on there. I'll go back and catch up with them in just a minute. Right now, I'm going to try to catch this getting done. Okay. The build is coming out very nice, though. I will tell you. I'm very pleased with this so far. Yeah, I think, it's funny because Tom's meet is against some other schools, and some of them have ROTC guys, so they get a little bit of funding there. So I'm making it a point to help them out. All right, let's get these motors soldered, and then we only have one motor left. my tweezers are really crappy right now, so I'm kind of slipping around here, but that should be enough. Be good enough for now. It's not ideal for me, but I'm battling my tweezers. My new ones haven't arrived yet, so I'm kind of making do with what I got. Let's zoom out just a little bit. There we go. Puerto Rico, that's right, Jimmy. I shipped there. Jimmy's good. Jimmy's good people. Jimmy's very good people. He kept his word. I kept my word. We got product there, and he got payment here, and everybody's happy. Nice job, Jimmy. It's good to have you here. Hey, Dwayne. Thank you very much. By the way, I just looked up here, and Josh. I mean, look. I mean, I'm trying to help schools out as I can. I can't give things unless I have extras and stuff. But always hit me up if I've got some extras. I just shipped some extra tools I had to somebody, so anything that I can do to help out, man, count me in. Sometimes I can't do much, sometimes I have extra, so please, by all means, you know, let me know, and if I do come across stuff, I'll make sure to get it to you, or anybody else for that matter. I mean, look, it doesn't have to be schools. I mean, my thing is I hate, well, I'm not going to get into a lecture. I'll just say that I don't like that money dictates whether people can enjoy something, so sometimes we all just kind of got to help out. And that's the way it works. All right, let's see. Last motor, and we are good to go. Could we put the LiPo on the bottom of the quad? Are you asking me to do that now, or is it designed for that? Because that's where it's going to go on this build, is on the bottom. Yes, if that's what you're asking. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Teach you to solder. All right, Tim. What are you having the hardest time with? And I'll give you some pointers. Give me an idea of what you're having a hard time with, and I will give you an idea of how we can make it easier. You know, David, I agree with you. I mean, I do find that they help each other. I will tell you though, I find that there's, I guess it's just like with anything else, man. It's like sometimes there just seems to be this pissing contest, and and I mean I'm on the receiving end sometimes of some, you know, being blasted for this or that. And I'm like, man, look, you know, first of all, I don't have the patience for it, and second of all, I see people and they're like, you know, they'll post something and then they'll trash somebody else. I try to look past all that because I have found also that there's, for the most part, there's a very strong community in this. Unfortunately, like with anything else, there are some bad seeds that try to basically get pissy about stuff, but we just block those, right? And just focus on making sure the community as a whole has fun and doesn't get taken advantage of and doesn't get steered the wrong direction. I don't know why there's this need for some people to feel like they're the smartest in the industry, or man, they're the, you know, like, look, I don't care if you're the smartest or not, just help out and quit bragging. That's all I ask. You know, that's it. But that's just me being a pain in the butt. Oh, these tweezers suck so bad. Sorry guys, these tweezers really suck. Can't get a grip on these real well, but it'll do for now. I think mine are supposed to come in today, actually, this evening, so it'll look better here in a second. All right, last motor. There you go. All right, for now that's gonna hold. We'll keep that like that, and then we'll clean it up later. Right now I'm still trying to just get a fit on this. All right, so let me see what I missed here. Everything. I've never successfully soldered, tried once before and ruined the RX. Okay, so let me take a break, because that's part of what this video was for, right? Is I want to hear from you guys and I want to help you out. I'm going to take a break and I'm going to be right back. If you'll excuse me 1 second, I'll go grab something that might help make this soldering a little easier. Okay, give me 1 second.
All right, so look, here's the deal. If you've had a hard time soldering stuff, right? And I'm gonna change this camera angle now. Sorry. Let me. What the hell? I hate this computer stuff sometimes. There we go. Boom. Okay. There. All right. So if you have a hard time soldering, right? And I do too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I can soldering is probably my favorite thing to do with quads right now. I find it peaceful for me, right? But at the beginning, I found it frustrating because I screwed up everything I soldered. The most important thing, and there's rules to this. Number one, don't buy cheap. Whatever you do, don't buy cheap. Don't buy. And I don't want to talk crap about any particular place. So let me just say like this: just buy, like, take my recommendation on some of these things, and buy the following. And I've told some of this before. This is the Kester solder. It's a 6337 solder. This is what you go with. All right. You need quality solder and you need super thin solder. And there is a link on my website to it, but I will go back and check to make sure it's available for you guys. I think I've got a under the blogs or something, or tutorials. This is a solder to go with, and I would definitely stand by it. It's not cheap, but it's perfect. And so that's number one, is the Kester. Go to Amazon.com, look up Kester, or just go to the blog section of my website, and you can scroll and find out. Now, that's number one. Number two, you have got to get flux, good flux, right? So this is a flux pen that I use by SRA. I've shown this before. If you go on Amazon, you're looking for a flux pen, type in flux pen, and then type 99-20, and you're gonna get this pen. You need this. This is ideal. Now you can use flux paste, which is what this is, okay? And I use both. So I use the paste for my wiring, and you'll see these holes in here. That's where I'm poking the wires in before I pre-tin them. And you'll use the pen for the boards, all right? The next thing is the solder iron itself. And I'm sure everybody's got their thing on these solder irons. I'm gonna tell you that of all the irons I've used, the best iron that I have ever had, now everybody's got their own, so please don't get mad if I don't say your brand, the Xtronic brand, all right? I use the Xtronic brand, and I love it. And I love the way they stand behind their product. You can get it on Amazon. You can order direct from them. So you've got Kester solder, SRA flux paste, and the paste is number 135, flux number 135, and the SRA pen is 99-20. And then the soldering iron. I use the Xtronic. Now I use the full rework station, which is the 5040 XTS, but I have this one here. This is my kind of, when I'm on the go or out on the road or whatever, this is the Xtronic 4000 series, right? It's very affordable, digital readout, and everything is excellent, high quality. So I'm sure there are some other awesome brands out there, but I'm going to tell you flat out, that's what I use, and that's what I've been successful with. Now, one thing I did want to show you, I want to go over a few things to kind of help you if you're having a hard time soldering, right? One thing that you can always get is solder paste. And I recommend this for people, especially I had a customer ask me, he got a little bit of a shaky hand, has a hard time doing the solder. So I said, look, try this. So I said, get some solder paste. Now, you keep it in the fridge, which is why I had to step out of the room because it sits in my fridge. But let me show you something, okay? You have to pre-tin your wires, right? I mean, you have to. It's necessary to get a good solder. You pre-tin. So here's an example of why I would recommend solder paste. All right, I'll give you two examples of it. Hopefully, this is going to help you. Now, let me go to the table here and give you an overhead view. All right, so here's a solder paste. I'm just going to dip into here, and I'm going to show you how this is going to work. It's very easy. So I just stripped this wire. As you can see, the strands are out and about. Okay. And so the first thing I do is I'm going to try this and see if this is going to work properly, but I don't usually poke and paste there before I do it. But I've got my stuff here, and I'm going to go ahead and dip it into my solder paste, right? So as you can see, and hopefully you can see that. Let me see if I can zoom. Oops, wrong camera. There. So I've got this paste now on the end of this wire right here, okay? So it was shiny silver, like, whoops, God darn it, trying to move this wire like that, and now it's like this, okay? So now, I don't have anything to really hold this wire in place. I'll just kind of bend it and do it like this. So for people that are having a hard time tinning or soldering or whatever, I'm going to show you 2 applications where this can really help you out. And I'm sorry if all of you know this. I don't mean to waste your time, but I figure it might help. So the first one is to, let me zoom out. And with solder paste, it's really quick. So just watch what happens. Okay, I'm just going to touch it here. I'm going to go over it with my soldering iron. And before you know it, I've got a excellent soldered line. That's it. All I had to do is dip it in the paste, and I'm good to go. All right, now let me show you how this is going to apply to make it even easier. So let's say you're working on a board. Let me grab a used board. Here, I'll grab this NACE 32. So here's another NACE 32 that I was using for testing. And let's say you have a hard time soldering these small points, right? So I know that some people, and I'm going to try to grab this here. Maybe I can show this a different way. So a lot of people have a hard time putting these pins in, okay? And so here's something that I would recommend if you have a hard time, and I did too. When I started doing this, if you look at this NACE board, there's a million pins. I mean, we're talking about something like this, right? So if you ever use pins, trying to solder all these points in without screwing up is very difficult, especially if it's your first time to do it. I cannot tell you how many boards I screwed up like that. So here's an option. Take your flux pen, and I'm just going to use these 2 right here. So I'm just going to add some flux to this area, put it away. You can use like a Q-tip or whatever you want to grab some solder paste, but go ahead and just, that's too much, but just, you know, put some on the area that you want to solder, right? Like, let's just say, I got to spread this out here a little bit. So be a little more on point than I am right now. I'm just kind of doing this for the sake of showing you. And then go ahead and put some, you can kind of dip the ends of the pins in, right? And just slide them into place, okay? Now, in this case, there they are, right? So you haven't had to solder anything yet. Now, take your soldering iron and just go right about here. Boom. Boom. Okay, now, if you were to come underneath, you would end up soldering, but this is going to get really hot. And those pins are now in place and soldered. And they're soldered in without you having to, now you can just wipe away anything you don't need. You can use alcohol wipe, and you've got your pin solder without having to hold the solder in place and try to get really detailed right here. And if you could see, if I wanted to, just to make sure I've got this covered right, and I'll give you another idea right here. And this works for doing wires too, or anything else. Just go ahead and put your flux right there so that you prevent it from kind of moving all over the place with the solder. And you can go ahead and just put some solder paste on the pins right here. And then just bring the soldering iron very quickly. Watch. There's one. And there's the other one. All right. Pins are done. Everything's good. It's solid. I don't know if I can get this on camera, but I think you can see the shine there of the solder. Pins are secured. Everything's done. All right. So solder paste is a great way. And if you wanted to do like a wire, you could easily just put solder paste. And I'm going to use a huge glop of it just because I'm kind of trying to rush through this. But let's just say I want to solder this wire right here. Now I'm just pasting it because I don't care where it goes right now. But I didn't add any flux to this. But point being is if I wanted to do something like that, I could easily just join these together. And I would end up, I should have probably used flux actually. But there. So I've got my connection, okay? Now you would take your time and use it, be more accurate. But this is very solid connection. And I didn't have to use the soldering. So try that if you're having a hard time. Try that if you're having a hard time using the solder. Once you get used to it, the key components to make sure your solder comes out right is make sure to use flux and make sure to use the right solder. As far as the temperature for my soldering iron, it's at 360 degrees Celsius. It stays there. I don't move it for anything. And I don't use the thinnest tip because I'm used to using a thicker tip on the end of mine. But most people will tell you use a very thin tip. It's up to you. I'm very satisfied with the one what I've chosen here, but it's whatever you're used to. No, the solder paste is let me see. This is off Amazon too, and I think what is it? MG Chemicals. Sorry. Here's a picture of the container. All right, and it's MG Chemicals. Look that up on Amazon. That's where I got this from. Make sure to keep it in your fridge. Solder paste is a lifesaver for a lot of jobs. So it's a good way to start too and get yourself, even if it's just to hold something in place, it's a great, very quick, and it can be, it can be activated and heated to its point of melting and, converting into, I guess the solid solder with a heat gun. So if you find yourself in an area where you can't get it, or you're not sure of it, make sure to cover everything else with your flux so that you don't get any solder onto another component, and then you could actually hold it over there with a heat gun and you'd be set, and it will actually cure itself that way and also solder for you. So there are definitely some areas there that will help you out. Now, I hope that helps. If you need any more help though, please shoot me some questions, or if you need some tips on where to go, let me know. But I think you'll be happy with the results if you follow those steps. And that was very quick. You just let me know if you need more details, and I'll be more than happy to help you out, okay? All right, so I'm going to finish this last motor. Now we've got 30 minutes left for this build. So let me just kind of keep trucking along here. Okay, so we've got our motor wires down, so that part is good. So far, everything's looking good and clean. There's our layout. I'm satisfied with that for the most part right now. I mean, I'll touch up on my soldering later. Everything's spread out properly. We've got some extra connections here we can use. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our 5 volt. And so let's see, I'm going to use, I wanted some excess wire here, and I guess I can use these. So if I put this NACE 32 back on in the direction it's supposed to be going, which is right here, I know that these wires are going to be coming to this pad here. So on the NACE 32, you have the following layout, right? You have ground, which is always going to be at the front here, closest to the board. You have your 5 volt, which is going to run here, and you have your signal wire here. So these wires are going to, and I'm going to bring them out above instead of wiring it underneath and hiding them, because I want people to be able to see it, to understand how it works. So this wire, for example, is only going to have to run to about right here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just chop off the rest of this wire and use it for my 5 volt instead of having to go and do anything crazy. Let's just do that. I'll just cut a little excess this time because I want to get the 5 volt wire wired. So let's do that. And again, we're going to use our paste and get this going. Yeah, the solder paste would be ideal for that. I have to agree. I mean, that solder paste is for really... Now, I will usually, if I'm really trying to be accurate with solder paste, I will take a needle. And I have an actual automatic solder paste dispenser, and it's run through a foot pedal and air compressor. And as I tap the foot pedal, it puts out just enough through a syringe. Oh shoot, you guys aren't able to see this, I'm sorry. Let me go back to here. I apologize, I'm sitting here talking and not showing you what I'm doing. All right. And so when you press the pedal, so you want to kind of, I would go get a syringe if you want, and you'll end up with something like this. These are the needles, right? But these are like regular needles, like what you would inject medicine with, but they're cut off, so it's just basically a flat. You can't hurt yourself. I guess you could, but I mean, it's just like a 22 gauge or a 25 gauge. You could fill the needle, the syringe with solder paste, and then you would put this on the pad that you want, and it's very accurate, and you press it and it'll drop just a bit on that spot, and then you can apply a heat gun or touch it with a soldering tip very quickly, and you'd accomplish the same thing. Just a little thing there to help you. Just find a syringe. I mean, any 10 cc syringe, and then fill it with the paste that you get, and then just make sure to keep it in the fridge still, but use that, and you'll be able to apply to the smallest pads possible. Hope that helps. And if anybody's got any other, feel free to chime in. I mean, I know it works for me, but it may not work for other people. There may be something better that people like. I also have the oven, where if you put the solder paste, you can put the item in the oven, the infrared oven, and cook it. Basically, it will do it like a manufacturing style. neither of which are fun for me anymore. They were helpful at the beginning, but I kind of like doing the hands-on approach here. All right, so we are going to get our 5-volt and our ground, which is at the front of the board, and we're going to have to get it to our Naze controller because that's how the controller's going to get power. So let me just go ahead, knock this out real quick. Now I've got solder paste over everything, so I'm about to solder the ends of my tweezers together. Hold on. All right. There we go. Quick and easy. And now on our board, these are actually going to go, I'm going to use channel 6 for that, because we're not going to be using a channel 6 here, and I'm going to actually tap these into here. And again, you could always opt to just go underneath, right, and hide them, and maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Maybe that's going to come out nicer for everybody. I just got to make sure that I get it right here. But for the sake of being able to show you guys, maybe I'll just go this route. Let me just keep it the way I was planning. All right, and we're pretty much done at this point with the PDB, so I'm going to go ahead now and get started on applying the flux to the rest of the board, and I just apply it to all the pads. I don't care if I'm going to be using them or not, because I never know when I'll need them. So there we go. On this side though, I forgot, on the Naze, you will be able to do the voltage check here if you're using telemetry. So on here you can grab your VCC and your ground, and you'll pipe it to this pad right here. All right, so I guess we can go ahead and do that as well. Let me cut another bit of this wire, and I think for the sake of keeping them just even, I'll cut that piece off, and then we'll do the VCC as well. That way we can monitor through telemetry. And because this is an older style board, you will get your serial ports, and you will be able to invert the telemetry. So if you're using a FrySky receiver, you will not have any problems finding a spot to add your S port to get your telemetry feed. All right, and that's probably one of the cool things about this that I really like. But I just like the board. I don't know if any of you have flown Naze 32s, but they're older boards. But man, I tell you what, that's why I think I have 500 of them. It's one board that, I mean, I wrecked the heck out of them, and they never had a problem. But they also don't have all the fancy stuff. You actually have to kind of know what you're doing, in the sense that they're not here to baby you with that board. It's just a good board. All right, so let me get these tinned real quick, and I'll get this on, and then we'll close that up. Let me make sure that's right. Yep, that's right. Let's go ahead and get this pad activated here. Okay, that looks good. So now we can close this up. All right, so let's go ahead and get to that. Go ahead and tighten these down. All right. All right, now our flight controller's on. First thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and bring up my 5-volt so that we can power the flight controller. So we're going to attach it to the channel 6 over here, since, like I said, we won't be using anything on channel 6. So I'm just going to make sure I got enough length here, and let's go ahead and get that done. David, are you, I don't know if you're asking me the question, I'm sorry. I just looked up and saw. All right, so I'm just going to continue. Okay, get the board tinned real quick. I need to clean this solder tip real quick, so 1 second. There we go. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to knock this out. Might as well make it quickly and easy. So we're not going to be using the channels except 1 through 4, so just let me go ahead and knock these out real quick. It's a very quick process. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead. We won't be using actually the positives up there, the 5 volt up there, just the grounds really. Okay, there we go. All right, so I didn't need to do that first one, but I did anyway. So now we just need to pre-tin these wires, and then we're going to solder our 5 volt on. And let me just get that done. Okay, let's trim those back. We don't have a very big area to work with here, so trim those back some. Excellent. All right, now let's get our 5 volts on. All right, so now we've got our 5 volt, our ground. Everything's good there. So now if we power up the PDB, we should see the flight controller at least light up. So we can give that a shot real quick, and if anything explodes, then we know that I made a mistake, right? So let's try it. And if anything blows up, hey, that's part of the process. I need to blow it up so that you guys don't, right? So let's make sure everything looks good. I think everything looks pretty clean. Hold on, do I even have a connection here? Yep, there we go. Okay, so we've got our flight controller now powered up. Everything looks good on this side. It's blinking. We've got to program it, but that's the first part. All right, and now we're just going to really quickly get the signal wires attached, get the ground wires attached, and this way you can hear the ESC fire up in just a second. So we know for our signal wires that we're going to be running, we've got to run these kind of, you know, let's try to keep them clean. So we're going to run our grounds, and this is going to be motor 3, or yeah, so it's going to go right there, motor 4 I mean, and then this is going to be motor 2, that's going to go right there. So we've got a little bit of excess wire. And what I may do is use this bottom mounting area right here where the camera would go to actually zip tie the wires down and kind of keep them secure. And then we've got these wires, which we're actually going to cut and run from underneath the board. So let me go ahead and do that. At least we can hear some tone from this before we end this. So let me get this out through here. All right, so this is going to be motor 3. And then this will be motor 1. Excellent. So there we go. Motor 3, motor 1. That's going to be a really short run right to there. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that. Okay. Okay, there's motor 1. Knock out motor 2 real quick. It's a little long, but I think I'm just going to leave the wire where it's at. I don't think we're going to have too much excess wire. Let me just, it's maybe just a little bit. I'll just cut 5 millimeters off, leave it like that. Okay, instead of picking up this paste, or the flex paste, I'm just going to kind of put it on my finger, put it on there. Because these wires are getting a little too short to get enough on there. All right, so let's get those twisted, get them tinned. Motor 2 will be done. All right. Oops. I don't know what that noise was, but I think something fell in my house. Probably be best not to check right now. All right, so let's get signal 2. There we go. Let's get ground 2. Okay, so motor 2 is done. And now we'll do 3 and 4. So 3 is sitting right here, and it's going to be like 1 to cut the excess off. So where did I go? Because these should be identical. So that's fine. We'll trim this down. Get the tip out right there. That'll work. Slender Man, what is that? Oh, is that spooky guy? Hey, don't be talking all that spooky juju, man. I don't need that stuff here. It's bad enough that we watched Lights Out and my kids wouldn't sleep. Oh, by the way, I got some cool news though. So my youngest son, Jaden, and he got a hold of a drone again this weekend. And I thought he'd all but given up on it. And man, he says he was ready to give it another shot. I think he was discouraged when he broke his. So I'm excited when I see him next. I've got him a little drone ready to go. Maybe even this one. We're going to see if that boy can fly. So wish me luck. Okay, so motor 3 is done. All we got is one more motor. And we're good to go. Let's do motor 4 right there. Cut off about 5 millimeters again. I would put him on the sim if he would stop playing Fortnite. But I think if Fortnite would make a sim, my kid would be like the best pilot in the world. All of them would be. So, all right, here we go. We're going to finish this out, and we should hopefully get a tone here, unless something was done wrong. And if it was done wrong, then we're going to see a fire. I don't want a fire, so let's just hope for tone. Okay, that looks good. Let me put a little bit more right here. Go. All right, motor 4 is done. Now, as long as I haven't screwed anything up, which, you know, anything's possible. So let me actually put this voltage here so we can get that for our telemetry. Okay. And then I can say we're done with this part of it. Okay, so we'll cut that right there. And guys, we're wrapping this up pretty quick. All right, goes. So we got our positive. We got our ground. Probably should have done the other way around actually. So yeah, that's what I thought. Hold on. Let me get this out of the way, make sure that that's clean. All right, now we can do it. So wire is shredding, wonderful. All right, well for now I'm gonna leave that. I can't leave that, darn it. The ESC wiring is not the best wiring for heat, so I'm totally shredding this by getting it too hot. It's my fault, but I kind of put the wire on. I should have gone ground first because to reach the other one's a little difficult. That's all right. I'll just trim it up a little bit and get it back on there. There we go. All right. Now, the only thing I would have to tell you is because we're using the 12 volts, I'm going to go ahead and do a tone on it just to make sure that I don't have anything grounded. Make sure these two don't beep. Good. 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 Okay. 5 volt and ground are good. Ground and ground have tone. 12 and 5 don't. All right. All right. So at this point, we've got now our ESCs powered. We've got everything wired. We'll clean up the front here by zip tying these down, but we'll go ahead and fire it up real quick and just make sure that we have something other than smoking motors. So let's just see what we got. Okay, let me switch cameras here. So we can do this and this, or this and this. There we go. We'll try that. All right, so here goes. Excellent. So what we've got now is we need to talk to Colby about getting one of the drones into Velocidrone. Oh, you got it. We'll make it work. Okay, so what we've got right now, and we are at about 13 minutes left, is we've got everything fired up. We've got our tones from our ESCs that are built into the motors. We've got everything wired here. And so the next thing is to come down the rail here and start putting in the flight controller and seeing how we're going to add that. And then obviously any DTX that we're going to use. So the first thing I want to do is open this package. I believe there's a flight controller in here. So let me just get over here. Not bad though. I like the look. I definitely like the look. Yeah, there's the flight controller. It's in here. Go ahead and turn the power supply off real quick. By the way, if you haven't seen the Evolution, this is the Evolution right here. Okay, it's a great controller. I like it, and I think that it is a great addition for this. The receiver is a little bit bigger than a normal receiver. It's definitely got some long antennas on it, but I think we're not going to have any issue with it fitting. It is S-Bus, so you can run S-Bus on here. And let me get rid of that. And my thought on this is going to be that we go, sorry, let me kind of switch back here so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so my thought on this is that we're going to probably mount this one of a couple ways to where most likely if we come out this route, right, or go sideways, we'll be able to get this out, or we could always easily just come above the board and we can remove the outer portion as well. Hey Noodles, that's my dog just walking around. But this would be, you could remove the pins and solder directly if you want. There's quite a few options on this, but for the sake of just kind of making something happen here, let me see how I would like to do this. I may just come out sideways, or even, hold on a second, maybe I can go this route. This may not actually be a bad idea. If I go this route, I may have enough room to mount this flight controller like this, where the camera is. Yeah, that might work actually. I can mount it like this, and I've got room for the VTX then underneath, but in either case. So to mount this, and I think we can knock out the soldering of the flight controller very quickly. So let me just kind of switch gears here. What the hell is going on? There we go. And we'll go this route. Okay. So to do that part, we'll get these off. I think I've already fluxed this thing, so let me just close this, cut this off. All right. And let's go ahead and grab the wires that came with this, which are somewhere in this area. All right, so we may minimize this, and it's going to be kind of up to you guys if you want to or not. You can definitely get rid of the pins. So assuming you want to get rid of the pins, you take the housing off. I'm going to go ahead and do that just because I can show you how to do it then, and you don't have to worry about breaking yours. So let me just take this off. Okay, and this is what we're left with, and I took the heat sink with it, so let me go ahead and put that back on. Guess I should tell you to be very careful when you take that off. All right, so, and we'll use, you know, this will be fastened most likely to some part of the frame, but you can remove the pins here if you want. You can solder onto this side of it if you wish. So looking at this, it's a bigger receiver, but it'll definitely do the job. So looking at this, it's going to go S-bus, VCC, and ground. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm not going to do much in the way of trying to heat these up and pull the pins. I'm just going to cut this housing here, or the plastic pieces that hold it together. And then you can do one of two things. You can either heat up the board. I'll give you an idea. You can either heat up the board and try to push the pin through, and it'll kind of be something like this. It just takes a little bit to heat it up. Let me put some solder on here. That may help. But most of the time, if I'm just going to kind of go with it, I'll usually just cut it. But if I heat this up, I should be able to push this pin through, unless it's going to hold out on me. Well, there we go. And what you'll end up doing is you'll kind of get it close to the end there, and then if you just wiggle it out, there goes one, right? So if you want to do that and get a clean break from these, and I guess I'll just go ahead and finish that off. If not, you can just cut the ends out. Oh, there's two. Be careful, don't do as I did because it's hot. There's three. And then there's four. All right, so now we've got our open pads right here. We could easily solder these. I keep touching this card, so let me move that out of the way. And we can take the wires that came with this would have normally plugged in like this. And so we've got our ground and everything. So if you want to reuse these wires, you're more than welcome to. Let's just cut it here for now and go ahead and tin them. Real quick. I'm gonna use the yellow, I guess, for S-bus. What have you? All right. Okay. I'll go ahead and apply it here. Go ahead and put flux on the board real quick. Okay, and we'll get our wiring attached. We are done with this side of it at least. We'll do S plus first. One. We'll do our 5 volt next. All right, good, everything's done there. And the way this is going to connect to the controller is like this. When working on a board like this, you're going to remember that, and I want to make sure that I've got this part so I can show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. So the way we're going to do this is you're going to use, some people get confused with this, make sure to pay attention to this part of it, and that is, oh darn, that's dirty. Okay, so you have your first 2 pins. Those are not called pins 1 and pin 2, not on the way we're going to refer to these. These 2 pins are just your ground and your positive, okay? Ground and 5 volt. Pins 1 through 8 start here, all right? Pin 4 is for your S bus. All right, so make sure, do not think that pins 1 and 2 are your positive and ground. All right, and because a lot of people will count those as 1 and 2 and then they'll use 2 as number 4. So don't. It will not work properly then. Given the idea that where this is going to go, I would anticipate it's going to be about this high, let's say, or I don't think this will actually fit in this gap here. No. So it'll be about this high, and we may turn it around, so let's make sure we have enough wiring. So I'm going to allot us about that much wiring, whatever that measurement is. Let's see. All right, so let's say it about right here. We're going to do the same thing again. Just going to trim it, tin it, and solder it. And then we will be done with the build for today, and we will continue tomorrow with the rest of it, including a test flight. And you guys can be the judge of that. But I can promise you this is going to be a great build, and hopefully some people will really be able to find it within their budget to enjoy something like this. I sure hope so. All right, so here you go. Make sure you trim back the wires to about a millimeter, millimeter and a half, maybe, because you don't have a lot of room to play here. And I will tell you that because of the way this is going to go, I would prefer if you come from the inside so that we can tuck those away and not have those exposed so that they don't get clipped in a wreck or something. So we're just going to go ahead and knock this out. So there's our 5 volt. Okay. There's a ground. And there's our S bus. Okay. That takes care of that portion. And now let me see something real quick so I can maybe do something else before we call it a day. I've got to find it first though, and this place has become messy since I started building today, but hold on one second. Let's see if I can find something. Because I think that this will actually, where did I put that? Oh, here it is. All right, so let me look for reference here. Okay, so that is going to be right next door. Let's see if we can do this real quick. It's going to be a little big, I think, but it may work. I think I'll hold off because I got to see how much space I have left. But all right, I was just going to put the buzzer on there. So this should work. So I'm going to fire it up again, and hopefully now we'll see a light. for the receiver, and we'll know that we are in good shape. So let me give you a top view and one of these. Go this way. There we go. Let's do that. All right, so let's see what we got. And again, if there's a fire, it means I messed up. It happens. All right, we got a receiver light going. Okay, we've got our flight controller going, our receiver lights trying to find a signal, and everything looks good. So I'm going to power that off and just wait now. And okay, so guys, I hope that I am very confident that this is going to be an awesome build. I think that the parts are going to be a very good quality parts. I'm going to tell you flat out, there's no markup on this at all. Okay, so if anybody thinks I'm making even a penny on this, you're wrong. This is, it's a win-win for everybody. My goal is I can put an affordable quad in people's hands, and hey, you know what? Maybe down the road when you need to upgrade or do something, hey man, just come back to Cyclone FPV. I use this to support my family, and I want to help support yours with giving you something affordable. So this is going to be session 1. It's 2 hours. Look at that. We're exactly 7 o'clock. I don't know if you can see my watch, but it says 7 o'clock on it. It was a good 2 hours. So we're going to continue. I'm not going to finish this, which means we're going to all build it together. And then I'll start putting some links on the website. If any of you are interested in trying to get this quad, I'll let you guys go ahead and grab it because it is going to be limited, and then we'll have to start another one. All right. Until next time, guys, one last note, and I know I'm saying it at the last minute. I want to welcome David and John, 2 new pilots. Actually, David's like a brother to me, so David's been helping me a long time, but David is coming on board our team as well, and he'll have his spot on the website. So David, welcome aboard, even though you've already been there. And John Hampton out of Victoria, Texas, welcome, bud. You're going to join Bryce and Aaron and the growing family of pilots and sponsored guys and guys that help out. All right, everybody else, take care, guys. God bless, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Talk to you later. Bye.